the World Health Organization, are tracking a cold. And everybody's freaked out about this cold because everybody's getting it, and you've been scared to death because there have been a few deaths, probably less than 600 deaths in this country. You can't even find the statistics now on the CDC site because they don't know, because they're tracking all people who are getting any kind of influenza or any kind of pneumonia. When you look at 600 deaths, or even 75 kids that have died, nobody wants to see that happen. But do you know how many deaths there are from pneumonia worldwide? 2.5 million. And we're talking about 600 deaths in this country, maybe 1,100 or 1,500 or something like that worldwide, and a few in kids. Why would anybody do that? Who has something to gain from making a pandemic that is tracking a cold a serious thing? So if you believe all that, go take the swine flu vaccine, because it was made for you.
Well, in fact, they're making us quite concerned by talking about the great numbers of mortality figures, as well as great numbers of people getting swine flu. In fact, the regular flu season, they're saying, quote from 2005, that 36,000 people died that year from just flu, let alone swine flu.
They say that for every year, and what they have are numbers that are projections. They're based on association, so if a death certificate has influenza anywhere on it, it makes the assumption that it was a swine or an influenza death. Same kind of story that if you looked at everybody who had hypertension on the death certificate, you would assume that anything related to hypertension would be the cause of death, like a heart attack or a stroke, and assume that that's it. And yet there are many, many factors that do that. So by association, they come up with a number that's 36,000, but everybody knows that number is far off from where it's really true.
Well, I think it's just all been about the money. I mean, I've seen a report years ago that you just discovered the drug companies are working really close with the FDA, and it's their corporation. It's millions of dollars that are being transferred. I mean, it boils down to the money. I mean, it's when an epidemic or a scare has to be a money opportunity. And just hearing that's just so... that just blows me away. And just like when you see any commercials, like, oh, take this new drug, oh, by the way, and they call, a listing, and they say it really fast in like 5 seconds.
Well, we have a drug for those kinds of things.
So, and then, when you see certain people, stuff like Swine, I mean, it's like, wow, and you find out they're on.
Well, we know that 25% of the people that work at FDA also work for Big Pharma.
Yeah,
we also know that all the medical schools that are teaching what they teach, 60% of the department heads are from Big Pharma.
Yeah, they get funded. I mean, they pay a lot of money to medical schools, and then every doctor's commission if they get certain amount of people on a certain drug. So this whole huge conspiracy, I almost feel like the FDA and the pharmaceutical drug companies, they're almost like mafia in a sense, because when they find out that people are taking an alternative approach, like I love when doctors will take nutrition, and alternative methods into consideration before it's over to take a drug. And I feel like, sometimes like alternative medicine or, vitamins, herbs, like I feel like they get treated as if they're hurting the public, when actually it's just companies who are, I don't know. I've been watching this for years.
But it is to some degree also that just the whole training in biotechnical medicine, a certain way of approaching and looking at things that may in fact limit part of what you're able to see. And it might be more than just money, right? There's certainly very good caring people saying these things.
Yeah.
So I'm real curious. It must be a mix of more than just the money which is driving everything. And if it was just money, it was probably easier to see in some way.
Well, let's get not so sure of that. I mean, you would like to think that. I would like to think that. But the FDA has admitted, in print, and it's in the book, that they cannot do a good job. We cannot do a good job because we're underfunded. All they need is about $500 million more a year, which in a $2.3 trillion budget is like pennies. And Congress has refused to give it to them.
Give them credibility in a way to really have something to have meaning. I mean, if you've got the CDC being now really recognized as a vital institution, supposedly, and it's mandating the vaccination. And don't they get something just for the very process of being in charge of the flu season every year?
I don't know if it's an ego trip.
I don't know about ego, but in some way it gives a meaning and function. And I mean, is there something to that?
I don't know. I find it hard to think anything different than that there's a whole power that's related to Big Pharma that is running the whole show. I mean, they're huge. The amount of money they have is staggering. They corrupted Congress. And they control the CDC, and they control the FDA. And this is all stuff that's in print. You can read it. And the problem is we read this stuff, we go, oh, that's terrible. And then we have the intellectual knowledge, and where's the grassroots-driven effort to make a change?